Good evening. The Queen has announced a period of transition in which the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will divide their time between Canada and the UK. Her Majesty, who hosted talks at Sandringham today, said she was entirely supportive of Harry and Meghan's desire for a new role, but she admitted she would have preferred them to stay on as full-time working royals. The talks took place as Harry and his brother William issued a joint statement denying claims that their relationship had been damaged by bullying on William's part, claims that they said were offensive and potentially harmful. Our royal correspondent, Nicholas Witchell, has the latest from Sandringham.
Within the seclusion of Sandringham House, a family meeting, chaired by the Queen and attended by the Prince of Wales and his two sons, Prince William, Duke of Cambridge, and Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, to discuss how to accommodate the Sussexes' wish to step away from the royal family. After the talks, the Queen issued a statement in which she said, "Although we would have preferred them to remain full-time working members of the royal family, we respect and understand their wish to live a more independent life as a family while remaining a valued part of my family." She went on to say that there would now be a period of transition in which the Sussexes would spend time in Canada and the UK. Whatever the precise reasons for the Sussexes' disenchantment, it's clear from the statement that the royal family is determined to find practical solutions. Many details are still to be worked out. On finance, the statement simply says the Sussexes don't wish to rely on public funds. And security is one of the complex matters still to be resolved. Before today's talks began, William and Harry had come together to denounce a newspaper story which suggested the Sussexes felt they'd been pushed away by the, quote, bullying attitude of William. The story was false, offensive and potentially harmful, the brothers said. Today's talks and tonight's statement from the Queen have emphasised the family's understanding and sympathy for Harry. People who know him believe his loyalties must be in turmoil.
I think Harry will be hugely conflicted at the moment. He loves his wife, he wants to protect his wife, and she, it would seem, is very unhappy living here in our royal family. On the other hand, he was born into the royal family. He has served it. He served the Queen and country in a military setting. He expected to spend his whole life working for the royal firm.
And while Harry may be conflicted, it appears Meghan feels wounded by criticism which in some cases she believes has been racially motivated. However, the Home Secretary believes this is mistaken.
I'm not in that category at all where I believe there's racism at all. I think we live in a great country, a great society, full of opportunity where people of any background can get on in life.
As the talks ended and members of the royal family left Sandringham tonight, it's clear that there is more work to be done. But the Queen says in her statement that she wants final decisions about the Sussexes to be reached in the coming days. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News, Sandringham.
Well, after a rather difficult year for the royal family, a bumpy year in the Queen's own words, how significant is today's development and what does it tell us about the changing role of the monarchy in today's society? My colleague Reeta Chakrabarti has this assessment. There are some flashing images coming up.
How quickly things have changed since the first time they were seen together. In just the autumn of 2017, Harry's whirlwind courtship of Meghan Markle fascinated and beguiled the British public. But that's all now gone, replaced by talk of a royal crisis, of family schisms and even of a threat to the monarchy.
And the throne passes to King Edward VIII's younger brother and his wife.
The royal family has faced major threats before. The last century alone brought the abdication of the king, Edward VIII. Then, 60 years later, Harry's mother Diana died in a car crash, her sons made to walk behind her coffin. Last year, Prince Andrew stepped down from his royal duties after a BBC interview about his links with a convicted paedophile. All moments which tested the monarchy's resilience. But Harry and Meghan's decision to step back as senior royals is, in this era, unprecedented.
I think that this is a huge moment for the royal family, and royal historians in the future will look back and see this as the beginning of the change for the firm. This, to me, is the royal family being brought in line with the European royalties. The majority of European royal families, siblings of the king-to-be, what they do is they are usually ordinary to a degree people. They have careers. I think that's the model we're moving towards.
Why has this happened? Despite smiles for the cameras, reports suggest frustration on Harry's part at the constraints of his position. The intensity of the spotlight on them and media treatment of Meghan, who's mixed race, infuriated the royal couple. Harry lashed out at the press, accusing it of hounding his wife as it had his mother, and Meghan launched legal action against one newspaper. At their wedding less than 2 years ago, it all seemed so different. Harry and Meghan embodied a new modern spirit of multiculturalism and progressive values. Reporting then on the public celebration at Windsor, I was struck by the diversity of the crowd, more mixed than most royal events. One commentator says the fact the couple is unconventional makes them good ambassadors.
She's not playing the game. Harry never played it. So you got these two rebels. And I mean, what beautiful signal. More beautiful signal could you send out to the world that this is a modern nation, that you've got these two royals who are doing something else. They're not harming anybody.
What that something will be is still unclear. Harry was caught on microphone last year, recommending Meghan to a Disney executive for voiceovers. Was he being serious? Who knows? But the royal family will slowly have to adapt to the Sussex's new hybrid life. Reeta Chakrabarti, BBC News.
Well, let's return to Sandringham and our royal correspondent, Nicholas Witchell. Nick, in that statement by Her Majesty, she's calling for decisions to be taken very soon. Now, what is your understanding of the kind of timescale here?
I think some of these details are going to take a bit of time, Hugh, to work through, but the Queen clearly has said that she wants decisions within a matter of days. Now, the discussions during the day, among other things, I think, sought to dispel any notion that there isn't a major place for the Sussexes in the royal family going forward if they choose to take it. The Queen said in her statement the discussions were very constructive. Her statement sought to convey a real empathy, I think, on her part and the rest of the family for the Sussexes, for Harry in particular, for the situation in which they find themselves. As the Queen said, we would have preferred them to remain full-time members of the royal family, but she said we respect and understand their wish. We are entirely supportive of their wish to create a new life. They remain a valued part of my family. Now, on some of the details, there is a shortage of detail at this moment on things like funding, on the division of work between public and private work, on the rules of the game for private fund fee earning, and on security. But we now enter this transition period, a cooling off period almost, for both sides to see what will work best as they feel their way towards an accommodation which suits both sides.